we are. It's another day. Now, these are called morning coffee. Truth be told, these happen around 11 o'clock. But that's still technically morning, and there's still coffee. So today, we're filling up the old Dunkin' with people. This is one of those questions I get asked more regularly than I expected. What kind of coffee do you drink? So here we go. Right now, the ladies of the house have bought Folgers Black Silk, and so that's what we're drinking. I just do a flat scoop per 2 cups on the measure and chug it. So there's that. That question is answered. Good to see you, LJ, Skate, Scott, George. Good to see you guys. Stacy, Spread the Stoke. Good to see you guys. So let's take our thermos and a favorite cup downstairs, and we're going to get into a few videos today. I'll be posting a number of videos. Some of them might go direct to my YouTube. I've got a lot of things in my hands. That's why you're getting this wonderful camera angle as we go down to the former mortuary prep room that is my workshop. Let's turn on the lights and get the day started, and see what all we can get into today. You guys probably know that yesterday was an eventful and pleasant day down here. You may have seen me grinning ear to ear. Jerry Redmond, good to see you, my dude. Jerry says I've always been real. Everybody has their moments of being fake. Mine are sometimes punctuated with moments of being real. We're turning on lights here, and I should sing, won't you be my neighbor? Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Please, won't you be my neighbor? This one here, this light is as old as the hills, and it just doesn't want to stay on lately, is it? It's not loose there. It's not loose there. It has obviously got a broken wire, and I suspect that the broken wire is located at the bend. Who would have seen that coming? Shad Venatti. All right, dear friends, I'm going to stick you guys. So what we've done here is we've added a very highly technical clip here, and I took the broken mount and did a 2-hook system of wires up top. This is as good as it gets for now. And then you just stick it on here and bend this thing into place, and I think that'll work for now. Let's chat. I do not have any plans to purchase anything for my studio, but our dear friend Billy yesterday gave me some input on wiring the shop for sound and lavalier mics and multiple cameras and things. And one of these days I will launch a GoFundMe or some other sort of campaign, and one of these days I will do a patronage campaign to get this workshop wired sound and video for podcasting and long-form interviews. Because let me tell you, friends, I have had some contacts lately that would make great long-form interviews. Known and unknown people whose perspectives are highly enriching. And I think that's where my standards lie. You'll see I'm into the highly enriching, highly encouraging, stimulating, thought-provoking stuff. I'm different in that way from, I think, what is very, very common and quite good is the nostalgic, affirmative of the mainstream is very, very typical in skateboarding media. I'm just interested in people who really call the status quo into question. I don't require, I don't eat a lot. I do eat a lot. I don't require big ego pumps from people. We're going back upstairs. I forgot my, from my vape. I want my vape. I like to vape. I have this one flavor, that's all I have. Johnny Manic, good to see you. I'm doing this on my normal Facebook instead of on my, Makers Movement channel. I think I'm going to migrate it, but soon, friends, all you're going to see on Facebook is a check me on YouTube live, because we're getting close to, I'm not out of jail until I've got 1,000 people on my Facebook. Then I can finally do these lives in a format where your comments stay. So one thing I like about live commenting is if somebody gets on here and they're like, nah, Lou, I don't see it that way. You can have a really substantive conversation. It's less, I have less to worry about. If I'm going to make a mistake, I can get called out right in line. I like that. So later today, I'm going to do a couple of news articles off of my social media feed. I like that. When I wake up in the morning, it is true, one of the first things I check out is my social media feed. So I've got 2 sick social media things that happened. Want to show you. This is that custom one-off make. There's your top coat on that. Boy, ugh, gross. So shiny. I thought this was a basement workshop, some sort of high dollar, highfalutin operation going on here. This is less shiny because I sanded out some imperfections on it. I'm going to do the screen printing on this today, and it will get final coating. This will wind up with a total of, I think, 8 coats of my. I just use water cleanup, water-based polyurethane, whatever's over the counter. Buy it by the gallon and do my work. And so can you. That's one of the secrets. So it's been nice having a morning chat with you guys. Let's take a look at my topic list, which has been growing, and let's just have a chat about a topic. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about coatings. I've been asked, this one goes out to, I believe it's Sam Elliott. I hope that's who it is. That's also the name of one of my favorite actors. Maybe I got it conflated. Here's what I'm using right now. This is backward for you, but it's Rust-Oleum Ultimate Polyurethane. 33% more durable, trusted quality since 1921. Soap and water cleanup. It's an interior polyurethane. None of you need to be getting your skateboards wet. And even glues like Titebond 3 that claim to be... Titebond 3 says waterproof right on it. It's not true. In fact, I don't know how Titebond hasn't run into some problems with that waterproof on there. But this is interior application, soap and water cleanup. What's interesting about this is it doesn't say water-based on it. When I pick a soap and water cleanup, I know that I'm going to be able to use that in my spray guns and rinse it out and get pretty good results. I use the cheapest possible spray guns, but I want to shift my system one of these days to what my friend Sam Cook at Life Skateboards uses. He's got like a little thing that just sprays so nicely. It just sits there and plugs in. I'm using 60 feet of air line from a big old compressor underneath there, and I'm honestly a little tired of it. I'm tired of all the fussing with airlines and then having all that stuff go on. I want to switch to this little thing. And Sam Cook, if you get a chance to, drop us a pic of what that is you're using. And boy, I'm having a good time. So yeah, I'll get a few more coats on this bad boy once I get the graphic finished on it. It's getting the same graphic that I put on Billy Otten's board yesterday. Thanks for joining us yesterday. And as usual, I'd like to remind you all that I am in limbo right now. If I could do these live feeds on YouTube, you would get all the comments would stay with the video. As it is, Sam Cook, what is the thing you use for putting coatings on the boards? What is your spray setup? I want one of those real bad. I started off with this with saying I'm not going to spend any money on stuff, and that eventually I'll hit a GoFundMe phase for studio setup. But in the cost of that, there might be I might purchase one of those. Probably, I think they're cheap. They ain't as expensive as compressors, I'll tell you that. Yesterday was good. So the thing about YouTube Live is you get to keep all these comments, and it organizes all the videos. It's easy to reference them and find them. On Facebook, I find it really difficult to find people's videos. The algorithm is weird and random. So if we get me up to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, then I can do these. Harbor Freight Avanti HVLP turbine, only $150. Can't beat it for the money. Absolutely. I'm gonna when I start sprucing things up over here, I'm gonna pick one of those up, because that thing is as simple a tool as it gets for shooting paint. High volume, low pressure, HVLP. And so this morning we talked just a wee bit about what I'm spraying onto my decks. My no compressor needed. It's just an electric motor. I have an old 60s vintage. Guys, you got to see this thing. I got this from. I had a neighbor who was constantly yard sailing, and he got one of these. Check this out, guys. He got this. This is it's called a Vibro BVI sprayer. This thing is straight vintage. Look at this thing. And it's a Vibro sprayer, a BVI Vibro sprayer, and it goes, it has a really, I'm glad we're talking about this. See, I was wondering about, like, just in terms of like content questions this morning. I was like, what are we going to talk about? Check this thing out. You fell, I fell, we all fell. So check this thing out. It sprays by vibrating. It's super old school, and I don't like it for working with, but I keep it for spraying Windex. Because spraying Windex out of it is super fun, and it has a satisfying noise. That said, I haven't put Windex in it in a long time, but the BVI Vibro sprayer it's got to be from the 70s or 60s, or even something. Yard sale. So that's a little bit about what coatings I'm using. I kept it dreadfully simple. I do not have sophisticated advice for you on coatings for your skateboard making. I would say this. Keep it acrylic. I'll say this. I won't say you should keep it acrylic. I would say this. If you're going to go with oil-based petroleum products, they are all petroleum, but if you go with oil-based, that's non-water cleanup, don't mix oil-based with water-based at any level, unless you want to make a crackle finish, in which case, base coat oil base, top coat with water base, and you get a crackle finish, which is super cool. Or I've got them flip-flopped, which I don't think I do. But I keep it water-based. I use poster paint for my graphics. I put it into the wood. I don't coat first and then you do wipe-offs. My graphics are just gnarly one-shot process with lots of inclusions and marks that say this was made by a guy for whom, I am a guy for whom graphics are an afterthought. Graphics are there to be destroyed. Ironically, my graphics don't get destroyed because they're usually put in the raw wood. When I do a paint job like today's board, the graphic can wipe off just like any other graphic, except I will sand first. There won't be any wipe-ups. I'll sand first and then put the graphic in, which is still. But I hit with poster paint, acrylic poster paint, then I hit that wet, if I can. I usually don't want to let it dry completely. I hit that wet with my Rust-Oleum water cleanup, water-based stuff, And it says it's polyurethane, but here, let me tell you a secret I found out. They're not. They're acrylic. The word polyurethane is a marketing word more than it's a real component word. And they have acrylic content, sometimes very high. You don't know. It's proprietary. It doesn't matter. If you hit a water base with a water base, it's going to stick. And so I'll spray a layer. By the time I reach the end of the line, it's tacked up. That's the layer that the wood grain is soaking in and swelling out. Then I hit it with another layer, 2 layers after, so a second layer after tack. Then I'll let that dry. Hit it with a 240 grit sanding sponge setup. Knock down where the wood grain swelled out, and then dust those off. I'll hit it with another layer and let that tack, and hit it with a 4th layer. And I'll always be extra liberal on the belly of any board I'm making. Always put extra thick. Want to build it right to where it's about to drip, and let that tack up and be the way it. You can tell that it's a good coat of poly because of the way it is. Now you know. So this was great. I actually knocked one off my list today, off my list of stuff, which was to talk about coatings. I can't give you a whole breakdown on all that stuff. I like to see, Darren Tyler writes, I love you, Darren. I love seeing your compilations of your mind here. He says, I like to see my plies in my finished boards. How do you paint the bottom of your board and still make those plies visible? Tape off the rails, maybe? I've done tape offs. I've got one on the ceiling I'll show you. I've done tape offs. When I tape off the edges, it's imperfect. So I tend to tape off ridiculously. I just tape off really rough and just let a huge amount of space, so that my graphic is inside. But the way I did these edges is very typical of me. I don't use tape at all. So I got this edge without using tape at all. That is with a fade from the bottom. So I shot it. I use spray paint cans because I don't do a lot of painted finishes. I used spray paint cans, and I just angle it so it shoots that way. That's it. It's just that simple. I just angle it. So I'll shoot one side of the board, and then I'll turn it around and I'll shoot the other side of the board, or I'll spin it. I've used a spinning, an old office chair that I put a wood platen on and just spin the board around. But yeah, I rattle can those things. Thanks, Scott. That's a good word for it. I use rattle cans on my paint jobs. I used to load a gun with color and paint. I had yellow, I had orange. Some of you guys had those boards back in the day. I use a water-based paint in those. But what I found was that shooting large quantities of paint, really getting those paints in there, was destabilizing my boards. And I had a board for Chris Gurley. I think it was the first board I made for him. Pin straight, beautiful, got it in paint, put a nice yellow coat of paint on it, and warped it. And I was like, nah, dude. So when it comes to painting boards, I go with rattle can because rattle can sits on the surface, doesn't soak in. It's not a water-based paint. I let the coating be water-based. And that's another thing. Fine point, my first coat on every board is pretty light. I want that first coat to cure in without adding a huge amount of moisture to the board. And then after that's cured in, it also swells the grain. Put the second coat on. It's that 4th coat that's real heavy. I don't put the heavies on until I know the wood grain is loaded with cured, I'll call it poly, or I'll call it acrylic. I want that wood grain to be bagged in, safe from a huge amount of water. Friends, this was a good chat. I have a couple more things to cover today. They're going to be over on my YouTube. I will share this one. Will go up on the YouTube for it being Darren, Scott. Thanks to you guys for your questions this morning. Let me just, before I sign off, let me look and see if I have any more questions. And all you guys are replying to each other. I love this. I want this in my life. I want these questions and answers to be on the screen, long-term, long form, and that's why I want to be able to do YouTube Live. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if I blew up and was like a 10 million subscriber, I mean, maybe I could beat PewDiePie and T-Series at their own game. Very doubtful. But I'm here to talk about these things, little tiny things, big things. And I've got my Folgers Black Silk coffee going here. I did get contacted yesterday by a coffee guy, and he said that he'd love for me to drink some of his coffee. Now, I've had his coffee before, and I would love to be drinking it too. It's awesome. And I will, you can find on my Instagram where I've shared that he sent me some before. I am not above doing product reviews, coffee reviews, and knife reviews and things like that. I'm gonna return with some of my knives. I've got a couple comparisons to do, but I don't need to kill time yet with those things. We've got a lot of skateboard stuff to talk about today. I'm gonna be posting on YouTube today about Bam Margera. He was in my YouTube feed today. Poor buddy, he stepped in it, and we're going to see if we can bring some gracious perspective to what I think is a very useful controversy that has happened with Bam. I think it's a useful controversy, and good things can come from this sort of thing, and we're going to chat about that later. I will be back at you soon. Thanks, everybody. What is it? Swab the poop deck, you lubbers, because I'm the captain. Oh my goodness, I'm not sure I can live up to that term. It's a great name though, Captain Lou. You know that my YouTube channel won't even show up on a Google search yet. I'm so tiny. This is a good time. Let's enjoy one another. Keep your questions coming, and Shad, it's so good to see you guys on here. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going down to the bottom here, and dude, Scott Laughlin, this thing is boss. I actually talked about this, I think, yesterday. Ship shape and Bristol. Yeah, load me up with things I can say. I need like, to say I love you guys is, I think, a really difficult saying, because you guys know that I've found my context for truth and stuff in faith in Christ. That may rub some of you the wrong way or some of you the right way. That's not how it works for me. Whether one thing rubs one person another, well, whatever, man. But I'm looking for that perfect pirate ship catchphrase for when things get big. Russellville, Arkansas. I like your little skate park in Russellville, Jason Robinson. Thanks for commenting. I have good memories of Russellville, Arkansas. I think that Scott George has got a strange comment on here. And sea shanties. Yeah, I don't even know how many whatchamacallits I can use. Like, how many seconds worth of a song can I use for my intro? Wow, Scott Laughlin, you just said a kind thing to me. I'm going to put that in my back pocket and try and live up to it. He called me genuine. I may be genuine. Get to know me, you'll like me less. That might be a good little ending phrase. Get to know me, you'll like me less, but we'll both be better off. Carity hava. I can't stop doing it. I keep seeing it. See, this is the thing about a YouTube Live, is it would be in the record like forever, and you could find it in order. You could go back to the day and you could watch it, and then you could write me and say, oh, Lou, you're dead wrong about crackle finishes, and you're dead wrong about using interior polyurethane. You should be using exterior spar urethane on your boards. No wonder they're garbage. Your boards are garbage. And you're, I'm sorry, every time I think about this, I just gotta laugh, because sometimes it hurts and sometimes it's just funny. I'll talk to you guys soon. What was I gonna say? You lubbers. I was gonna say, ship shape in Bristol fashion. Get to know me. You'll like me less. I'll catch you soon. Thanks, guys.